Hello everyone, welcome to another exciting design tutorial, and in today's video I want to show you how I created this beautiful FIFA typography design in just a few minutes. Okay, but before we get started, I want you to kindly subscribe to my YouTube channel to stay updated for more. I believe you have seen the motion graphics of this typography design. Okay, if you haven't seen it, this is it. Okay, I want you to check it out on my other channel, MBX Network. Subscribe and follow for more. Without wasting much time, let's get started. So the first thing I want you to do is to open Photoshop and let's create our new document. Alright, so always remember the shortcut for this is Ctrl N. Okay, so I'm using a dimension of 1920 by 1080 and I'll name my preset FIFA 2026 typography design. Okay, and I'm using a resolution of 300, and then my orientation is landscape. Okay, so then I just click on create. Okay, so this is our canvas. So you uncheck the lock sign and then you double click on the layer and then you choose color overlay, and I change the color to black. Okay, and I then lock it again, because if I don't lock it and I'm working on it, for example, I want to select something, I will select everything including the background. Okay, so I always have to make sure it's locked so that I can work freely on the canvas. All right, so the next thing is to type my text, which is 2026, and I'm using a font called Montserrat. So for you to have this kind of effect where you have the 20 on top and the 26 beneath, I just press enter on my keyboard so that I can have this kind of effect. Okay, so the next thing is to duplicate the layer and then I turn it off. So I want to apply the stroke effect so that I can have one fill effect and another stroke effect. So I just select the layer I want to apply the stroke effect, and then I double click on the layer. And you have this option here says fill opacity, so I make sure I drag it to 0, and then I apply the stroke and I change the fill type to gradient. Okay, so this is a gradient, but I'm not going to use this white and black gradient. Okay, I'm going to use this color option of the gradient. So this is the color option for the gradient. All right, so this is what I'll use for the stroke effect. Okay, so I select it like this, make sure it's selected. So I just select the text with a gradient overlay, and then I press and hold Alt, and then I drag the effects onto the stroke text layer. At this point you could realize that the stroke effect is off, and then we have a full gradient overlay onto the text, but that is not what we want. So what I will do is to remember I duplicated the 2026 text layer and I had one turned off, so I'll turn that one on and then repeat the same process again. Double click on the layer and then we choose the stroke, but we also need to reduce the fill opacity to 0 so that we can see the stroke. Then I click OK. So we still have the same black and white gradient for the stroke. Okay, so this is what I will do. Instead of dragging the effects onto the text layer, when we do that we will have the same effect as the first one. So I'll just double click on the text layer with the stroke effect, and then I change the gradient. So I select it and then I choose the gradient color from the one we have on the screen. So I choose it from here like this, then I select this and I choose, and then I click here to create another point, and then I choose this option. Okay, so you can see I have the gradient color for the stroke effect. Okay, so let me just tweak this a bit. So the next thing I'll do is to duplicate the text layer with the stroke effect. So you click on filter and then you choose blur and then Gaussian blur. Okay, so you convert to smart objects so that you can adjust it anytime you want. If you choose rasterize, you can't adjust it again. So bear in mind, if you want to adjust it later, you should go for the convert to smart object. Okay, so I think this is the radius I want to choose. So you can see it gives some depth to the text layer. Okay, so the next thing is to duplicate the 2026 text layer. So you duplicate it and then I reduce the size and then I rotate it. I want to choose an angle of 90. Okay, and then I reduce it a bit and then I position it at the corner there. Okay, I duplicate the same text layer and I position it at the other end like this. So the next thing is to change the color. So I'll apply the other method where I will have to select the text layer and then I press and hold Alt to drag the effect onto the preferred text layer. I press and hold Alt and I drag the effect onto this layer. So you could see we have the gradient color option changed. So I will repeat the same process for the other end. So the next thing I'll do is to add a FIFA logo, and I did this with the shortcut Ctrl O. So the next thing is to center the logo. The shortcut is Ctrl A. Just press the middle one to center it. So there you have it. So the next thing is to add a FIFA trophy. So this is it. And just drag and drop. Looks perfect, and this is how I created the artwork using the color options from the FIFA 2026 logo, which you are seeing right on your screen. So this one gave me so many options to play around with and also do the motion aspect of the design, which is on my other channel, and I want you to check it out. Don't forget to check it out. This brings us to the end of the tutorial, and I believe you have learned a lot. Make sure to keep practicing because the goal is to level up the game from a beginner to a pro. Thanks for watching and kindly subscribe to my YouTube channel for more. See you in my next video.